The first one, and this is going to be a bit cheeky because I've definitely cheated. My parents, and I grouped them as one very deliberately, not to diminish either one, but because I realized growing up, they were such a unit. And I couldn't separate where the best advice in my life came from, which one. And I can't separate where the human being I would like to be more like came from, because they were a unit. And I realized even in my marriage, and it took me a while to get married, not because I was overly enjoying the bachelor's life, but because I had a true sense of what I believed the partnership could be through them. And unless I had the instinct that this might be in its own version, not the same marriage, in its own version, that kind of rock solid partnership, then it didn't make sense to me to enter it. Does that make sense? And
Absolutely.
so they formed what for me is family. They formed what for me was marriage. They formed what was morals. Now, my parents were very religious, are very religious, My my mom sadly passed away in 2009 from cancer, and I miss her every day to this day. But I'm more spiritual than religious. I do believe in a God in us, a God, whatever, but I've never been able to attach to any denomination or any fully. But they did. And I valued that because I saw what it meant to them, what it means to my dad still, and how it shaped them as people. So that moral code, that generosity, my dad always said, I think it was his father, grandfather said, you'll be the tree. There's a certain tree in my culture, I forget the name and I don't want to get it wrong, but there's a tree the branches are so wide that all the birds come and perch on it. That's what they wanted to be, to help. And so I had the parenting, and some of the parenting, as you grow up, you're like, I'm not sure about that. I certainly wouldn't do certain things the way they did, but there's a lot that I would. And I know they were doing what they felt was best for us. And you've met my brother, I don't know if you've met my sisters and all, but you will find that this family unit is quite exceptional to the point that people are, we're on WhatsApp every day, or whatever, and it's one of the things I'm deeply grateful for. So for me, my parents formed this entity that I hope I can get half of what they achieved, not in a material sense, but achieved spiritually, holistically, with their generosity to others, the effect they had on others by being that unit. And that's certainly in this phase, as I have a young baby boy, is something that I feel shaped me and was preparing me to sort of be a father in my own right because of what I learned from them. So I cheated as two of them, but I hope you understand how much they're a unit for me.
No, I like that. It's like a modeling, isn't it? There's the model. That's what I want.
Yes.
And a blueprint of how to live. And you when you speak to enough people in this world, some people use their the parenting as a kind of kickboard against, and say, right, whatever that was, I'm doing the opposite, and things can flip flat back and forth. You get the overindulged helicopter parent makes a child that's very aloof and standoffish with theirs, and it goes back and forth generationally. But when it's modeled on something that you really aspire to actually replicate, then that's a generational handout.
Yeah.
Handout.
And I'm not sure I would say replicate, because like I said to you, there are forms of parenting that came from a very
Different
African,
age.
whatever age, different period, that would be very different. But I think the core of where it was coming from, that dedication, and the sort of contradictions that, for instance, I'll give an example. You spoke about what I do for a living. I still have the letter to this day, this old airmail. Like, remember the old blue airmail? But I remember when I was at Yale studying economics to do, and I remember when I decided I was going to become an actor. Now, for the African parents of that generation, and you speak to any artist, that is not something you do. Do you know what I mean? There are only three professions: a lawyer, doctor, and engineer. Those are the three. And I was heading, I'm at the top of the probably the top school on the planet doing economics. There's a path set for me. And I say, actually and I finally told them I was going to go to drama school. And to this day, I have packed away that letter they sent me that said, because I thought it was this is why I break with my parents, and they just said, yes, this comes as a surprise, but we're just so happy you finally found something that you want to do. All we could do was give you all the opportunity in the world. And if you've had that and made this the decision you want, we're going to back you 100%. And that's what parents do.
He always would say, Nancy, make sure you piss in the soup whenever you can. He taught me to be irreverent, to question things, to trust myself. Now, in all things professional, educational, academic, when it came to personal relationships or heart-connected things, he was not the person to talk to about that because of his own wounds.
Mhm.
So I got mixed messaging from my dad, but he died in 2004, and I think of him constantly, all the time, not in an unhealthy way, but little things will come to me about something he said or a learning. He was always teaching. So he had a huge impact on my love for reading, my love for writing, appreciation of art, music. He would hold my hand and we would stand in front of this Heathkit stereo that he built. And he introduced me to Boots Randolph and Sergio Mendes and all of the jazz greats, Benny Goodman. And he was like a quixotic kind of character.
Yeah.
He was just intellectually, he was just brilliant, interesting, and I just adored him. And he was taken too soon. And my dad had a huge impact on a lot of my parts.
He sounds amazing.
Yeah,
It was very fortunate. I can see what you mean by the polarity of, or not the polarity. What am I thinking of? It's like, I don't know, the idea that you've got someone who's such a strong teacher, and I can just picture him as you were talking, just kind of helping you with everything of understanding all kinds of things about yourself and the world, but that he was suffering in his own way, and not being able to put that into practice, perhaps.
Yeah.
In his own sort of learning and development.
Yeah.
So there's a selflessness in that, which I really like. And I think what else is, first of all, I've never heard the expression "piss in the soup." I mean, did he make that up, or is that a thing?
I don't think he did, but I mean, I wrote a book in 2004, the year he died, and I dedicated it to him and put that in because he said it all the time.
It's such a great. As soon as you said it, I was like, yeah, piss in the soup. It means don't do the same. Mess things up a bit. Like challenge things. Don't, just because it's there doesn't mean you can't kind of, I was going to swear then. Mess with it a bit. That's what I'm going to say.
Mess with it a bit.
Mess with it a bit.
And I think I shared with you. I was with him. I was alone with my father when he died.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe that's part of that is a big part of my memory of him now. But it's a gift. I view it as a gift. It's a total gift. But it's a surreal space. It's a really surreal space when you're with a loved one as they pass over. And I just feel like he's with me a lot.
Do you remember that moment? Like, could you share that with us? Could you share the exact moment of passing and how you felt directly after that? I'm really interested in that.
Yeah. So I was ready to leave the hospital and I was going to return early the next morning. My father, as I said, had a brain tumor. So the tumor was growing rapidly and putting pressure on his ocular lobe. And his left eye was filling with blood. It was, it was late and my mom and sister had just left. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to come back tomorrow. And the nurse said, please don't go. Don't go.
I knew.
And so when she said that, she said, he knows you're here and it's going to be, he's going to be gone soon. And he sort of like lifted his head and looked around. I said, what is happening? Like, because I was just a mess. She said, it's a last kind of bit of lucidity. It happens sometimes. So I stayed, and she said, I'll let you be with him. And she left, and there we were alone. And I laid my head on his chest because I wanted to hear his heartbeat. And I was looking up at his eye that was getting more and more red. And I just stared at him, and I was sobbing. But then he was looking right at me with that big red eye, and I heard his heart stop. And it still gets me.
I've got goosebumps listening to that.
Yeah, and it felt like he was peaceful in that moment. He saw me, whether he could really see me or not, but he was looking at me, and his eyes remained open. And I said goodbye. I love you. Goodbye, Daddy. And then I closed his eyes. It felt like energy, I don't know, left the room, went through me. I can't really describe it. I had the thought, the presence of thought to look at the clock. And then I just kind of wandered out to the nurse's station, and I was like, my dad's gone. Like, it was almost, at the time I was in shock, but it was a beautiful experience as I look back on it. And just laying my head like that and being so close and connected,
I've never heard anything like it, Nancy. I've never had anyone describe that moment with such an intimacy about you having your head on his chest.
Yeah.
And the heartbeat. I mean, the heartbeat is so, it is your life force, isn't it? So you were there to witness when that stopped forever.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that you were the last thing he saw as he passed over, and that he had that lucidity, like the nurse said, for that moment to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much about that. It's so beautiful. Honestly, I think anyone listening to this now is going to be thinking, wow, that's really a special moment. Hard. It must have been hard though.
It was
that was very hard. But was there any part of you who just wanted to get out of that room before that moment?
No.
So, because some people could really, I've never been at point of death. I've been very close after. I've never been at point of death with a loved one. And I imagine there's a fight or flight moment, isn't there, where you think, I could just leave now. I don't want to see this.
It's funny. I never experienced that at all because I just think I felt this poor man, like, he woke up one day.
This is my classroom. If you want to learn something, sit and listen. I can make it easy for you, and we can have a good time. But if you want to be disruptive, you're going to be out every time, and I will win.
Oh, I love that last line. I will win.
I will win. And she goes, you're not going to win with me. And it was that, maybe not word for word. And I thought, my ears pinged at that. And I was like, oh, okay. Because you can either resist or you could go with it. And at that time, I was like, no, she really spoke to me there. And she didn't speak to me. She spoke to everybody.
But there's a commitment there. It's like, I am here to teach you something. I'm going to make you, you're going to come out the better for it. I find that teachers, particularly from a certain era, they can't be bothered.
No.
I remember my education, 70s and 80s, is like, learn, don't learn, I don't care. Because what she's saying is, I am really, if you want to learn from me, you will. But if you mess me around, you're out of this class. So I take that as like a big commitment from her that she's going to get through to you guys. So tell me more. So
it was very confidently put.
Yeah.
And during that time when you got some really crap teachers, I have to say, you had some good ones, but they just did not care.
Yeah.
And they couldn't really give a toss whether you learned anything or not. There's your book. There's your, do not talk. But the confidence in it was, she backs it up, basically. She read books with us, and she taught us a lot. And I think she knew what she really knew and had a passion. And that was something that I was looking for in life. I think at that time you're that changing. You're looking to be an adult. You're not an adult. People don't treat you like one. You're not a child. You don't get treated like that. So it's like, it's very confusing time. And then when this one person says, focus on me and I'll teach you something, it's a big thing.
Did it make you try harder?
I look forward to I was never an English literature. I didn't care about English, but I looked forward to her classes.
Yeah.
I tried to be invisible so that I didn't cross her, because that kind of like, I don't want to be pinpointed
Yeah.
for being disruptive, because there were classes where I was a little bit mouthy,
Mm.
and for her, I was like, no, I want to just want to go in there and hopefully I'll do the right thing. And I was worried that that confidence would backfire. Well, sorry, not backfire, be the same if you got it wrong. I was afraid that she would make a show of me.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? When someone's like quite stern, I
Yeah.
was like, could that go the other way? So I just sat and listened. But if she was the best teacher ever, there's something to be said about someone who speaks to you with respect as a teenager. It really does set a tone.
Yeah. But she's asking for respect back. And I think there's something about safety in that.
Oh, perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
That was, I think you've hit the nail. That was the safest I felt with a person
Yeah.
that was teaching me. Because I told you, like, you don't want to be the center of attention for the wrong thing
Yeah.
by the wrong person.
Yeah.
But there was a safety in that, and I never feared going into her class.
Yeah.
I never ever feared it.
Yeah. It's interesting when you think about. I was a bit of a. I mean, it's sort of fairly established now that I had a very interesting relationship with school. It was nice. I went there for the lunches and to see my friends, and
Yeah.
occasionally dropped into a class to see what was going on. But I didn't really have any sort of structured education. And but there were definitely teachers that made me want to be better for them.
Yeah.
And there were definitely teachers I played up with. And I think it was about respect from my side too. If I respected the teacher, I prepared, I turned up, I wanted to learn, and I did my best, whatever I could offer at the time.
Yeah.
But if I had a sniff of them being phony in any way, I mean, I remember being really, I am a musician. I went on to leave school and do all kinds, and created a pretty decent career for myself in various things. But when I was a kid, I was really good I was a really great singer. I mean, for a kid,
Yeah.
and I was always playing the lead of the school sort of performances. You know when they used to put you in a coach and drive you off somewhere, and you go and perform Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, I was always Joseph. I was that person.
Yeah.
And yet my music teacher didn't like me, and I didn't like her. And
Right.
there was something phony about her. I knew she didn't really love music. I knew she just did it for the paycheck, and it bothered me.
Isn't that so interesting?
It
That.
bothered me, and I played up because I just knew it.
Yeah.
So can you relate to that?
I can relate to that. I think that is very true to who you are now. There's
Yeah.
like an intuitive, there's intuition there where you're thinking, well, there's something you're not
Yeah, you're off.
giving me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like you're not being completely honest.
Yeah.
And when you're in school and you are talented and you have a certain amount of attention, you do get jealousy from teachers, I guess.
Yeah.
They don't really want you to. Oh,
You've got off, Mark.
it says hand gestures use. I'm sorry.
Oh, there it
It's
is.
there. I think I'm using too much of my hand gestures. Sorry. It does cause a little bit of friction between you and the teacher.
Yeah.
There might be a bit of jealousy. I don't know what it is, but it does. That it's not a one-way thing. You react,
Yeah.
like you were just saying,
Yeah.
to them because you're a teenager for one,
Hmm.
and you want to be taught. If someone's not going to do their job, a kid will just tell you what's what, won't they?
Yeah. Well, we haven't grown our kind of, I don't know, bullshit guards until we're older.
Yeah.
So you just get it raw. You just get
Yeah.
you just get what we actually feel and think in the moment. And the wrong kind of teacher can't handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because they're there to keep you in check, to keep to delegate, to rule. And I don't know if you're like this now, but I do have a problem with people telling me what to do. I think everyone does,
Yeah.
but I think I push a little bit harder if I don't like the direction that they're pushing me in.
I'm the same. You're right. We don't change much as we get older. We get a bit wilier. But I'm the same now. I only really take direction from people I respect. If I
Yeah.
respect you,
Mm,
I will follow your lead 100%. I'm very
Yeah.
good like that. If I really like you and respect you.
Well, my number one probably won't be a surprise because I think there is a theme running, is my mother,
Okay.
Barbara Mary Foy. Mum was born and raised in Auckland, one of a big Catholic family. And she sort of has, obviously, we're influenced by our parents. But what I've taken from Mum, she's no longer with us, but there were lots of things in her life that could have made her very bitter and resentful. She had a lot of very difficult things happen to her. She was taken out of school really young and she was really bright and hated it and cried and cried. And even her, beloved older brother stood, and she said, I was taken out of school so my brothers could go to private schools. And that probably also informed why she was so adamant that all of her 5 daughters, and she had 5 daughters, would have, in their adolescence, would have a private school education. So she, and that was really hard for her. It stayed with her probably all her life. And she went, on and retrained as a counselor, etc. But that really did stick with her. And then her older brother, who did stand up to her father, didn't help, who she really adored, a real soulmate, again, was bookish. He was flying, as his brother was, with the RAF during the war. And on a sortie over Norway, and 3 weeks before the war ended, they came down. So, then she lost her beloved elder brother. She finally got to go to nurse. She went nursing and she got rheumatic fever. She had to pick it all out of nursing, so she had health issues for the rest of her life. She then got a job as an air hostess on Teal. Her father would not let her do that. It was not appropriate for her to do. So she was always sort of resourceful. Lots of things happened. And then, my father died a couple of days before my 2nd birthday. So at 32, she was left with 3 little girls under 6, widowed with mortgages. And you never heard her do anything other than, well, how are we going to fix this? What are we going to do? So I think that she was somebody who I've learned resourcefulness, resilience, optimism, definitely a glass half full person, and joy. Something about, even I remember cousins and friends go, oh, Auntie Barbara, she was the one you'd go to when you needed to just have a non-judging conversation, very open and curious about the world, very generous of spirit. So yes, she has made has shaped a huge amount for me. And she tolerated my bolshiness and my, wanting to not have a conventional life, and letting me fly. I never got any of the, my other friends who had lived, my other expat friends, colleagues would often have people, oh, we never see you when you're coming home. I never got that. She was light and stayed in regular touch, but she was absolutely able to let us fly and be who we needed to be. And at the same time, we had a reconstituted family. She married again, Matthew de Valk, my dad, And then, so there's a sort of almost a 10-year gap between me and my two younger sisters. And, when I look at what she did to keep that family intact as sisters, as 5 sisters, we look at ourselves, we're very different people. We're closer than a lot of families who have completely share the same DNA. But I think it was because, sorry to use this word again, she needed to be deliberate about it. She
Mm.
wanted to, so she spent a lot of time on relationships, how families connect, how you manage tensions, conflict. And so she was there were good lessons in there as well in terms of understanding the importance of relationships. So she's one.
You are absolutely right. The most important element of a relationship to have any possibility of deep connection and to being able to thrive is trust. Because if you don't trust that person, nothing good is going to happen. It's just going to be I don't know, superficial everything if I don't actually trust you. And I know how important this is because I know that everybody's filters are so massively affected by, do I trust you or not, with anything that you say to me. Even if you ask me how I was, if I don't trust you, I'll go, why is he asking me that? He could be trying to trick me. You know what I mean? Is he trying to find out a weakness? Get my point? When I read about you and we had that conversation in December, that's the thing that stuck with me most about you. Is this you're absolutely rooted in that as an idea. So do you want to sort of respond to that, but then sort of lead into who you are and what you're all about before we sort of get into your 5?
Yes, I do recall that conversation vividly. And for those of you who have not yet had a chance to meet Julia Duthie, this is the kind of first impression that she makes. So we were scheduled to meet for about 30 minutes. And I had, no expectations of how it was going to go. I was ready for anything. And we wound up speaking for 90 minutes because we couldn't stop talking to each other. So that really made a huge impression on me about your ability to draw people out. And I would connect that to trust building. One of the most important aspects in trust building from my point of view is the personal relationship.
Yeah.
And you will hear when I talk about my 5, some of the people who influenced my approach to that. But just the simple skill of saying hello to people, asking them how they're doing, asking them what's going on at home. What did you do over the weekend? The small talk of life is the thing. When you do that repeatedly, repeated interactions over time, those open up the doors for people to say, okay, I'm going to let my guard down because this person cares about me as a human being. And I know that sounds like common sense,
Yeah.
but to my surprise, it's not yet common practice.
Okay. Well, firstly, sorry for overrunning. That is so typical me. But when I'm in that, so it's a compliment to you too. If I feel that I'm with somebody that's aligned with me, and we don't have to agree with each other, but certainly aligned in that sense of realness. Is this person going to be real with me? I find that very seductive, and I just love it. It's one of my favorite things to discover in my day, is that there is somebody there opposite me who is willing to be vulnerable, talk to me about real things that interest me and are important, typically. And I experience what you just talked about most profoundly in the workplace, to be honest. Because I think I'm hardwired to be real with my friends and family and my loved ones, which is really annoying for them because sometimes they just want to talk about the day, but I want to know what's behind the day. When you say that, what's behind that? Drive them mad. But in the workplace, I find, I've led a lot of people. I've run a lot of companies in my life, and some people have pointed out you do take a lot of time to get to know people, don't you? And I said, is there any other way? Like, I really can't see a shortcut. Now, obviously, as your business scales, you've got to find different ways of doing it. But I don't think there's anything more impactful in terms of getting the best out of your teams and having them feel, that they belong to something and that they have impact than actually knowing them. So, no, I am quite keen on the old trust thing because I think it's really important to be able to create an environment where people do want to share who they are with you.
Yes. Well, I have a reaction to that because, hang on. Sometimes this happens, Julia. Age. I have a reaction to that.
Take your time. We can edit this all out anyway.
Um,
Shall I set it up again?
let's go down that road again.
Sure. So I was basically saying
In the workplace.
in the workplace, trust in the workplace for fostering really like authentic connection with people.
Yes, I have a reaction to that. When I was listening to the previous podcasts, there was a moment when you said that you would go to a dinner party and you would have to engage in small talk with others, and that you found that I don't know what word you used, but but the essence of it was you found it cumbersome and
Yeah.
annoying because you wanted to get to the deep stuff. And when I heard you say that, it made me smile because I looked back on the call that we did back in December and I thought, Julia, are you saying that 90 minutes that you spent with me wasn't small talk? Because you and I are wired the same way. Let's go for the deep stuff. Let's not wait.
But I think if you are hardwired that way, then this is small talk for you and me because this is how we communicate. This is what we do. But I can't tell you the amount of times I've been in social situations. And I wouldn't say there's an allergic reaction to sometimes my way of talking. But certainly I've met a handful of people who really don't like it. They really don't. They want to keep it very light and fluffy, talk about the game, talk about the day, talk about, the movie they've just seen and things like that. And there's another technique I've noticed from people if they really don't want you to know them. I don't know if you know people like this who just ask 15 questions in a row, none of which they really want the answer for, and none of which you give you room to be, any kind of deep, introspection. It's more like, so where do you live? What do you do?